boop. Did you just respond to my beep boop? You're so precious. Hey everyone, it's me again, Brittany, and I'm here today to do my September bullet journal plan with me video. This one took a while. But I'm really excited because I've kind of decided that I needed to narrow down my reading bullet journal. I've been adding so many trackers, so many extra pages, and it really should just be like a soft general place for me to track my reading. So I'm really excited for you guys to see how I changed up my spreads. Also, before we get into the video, I do want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video today. We'll talk a little bit more on it later, right before I do my final flip through, so just stay tuned for that to learn more about Skillshare. But without further ado, let's just dive on in. Okay, so let's get started with the September plan with me just by lighting another candle. This one is another one I got in a subscription box and was an unexpected glitter one. I've had it for forever, so I'm so glad that I've been using my bookish candles lately. And this month I did start by doing some pretty rough sketches because it's pretty drawing heavy. I got a recommendation to do an Alice in Wonderland inspired theme after I finished reading Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and I just loved the idea so much. So I decided to do it for September. And here I'm just starting by using my Pigma Micron pen and outlining some roses kind of roughly. I didn't necessarily know how to draw roses, I just kind of guessed at it, and I think they turned out pretty good. And then I'm actually just going to be taking a Tombow Fudenosuke pen to start writing out September. I wanted all of the fonts to kind of have a very messy look to them, as well as some of the sketching as well. I don't know why, I just wanted it to be more of like a dark, whimsical-esque theme. So I just went with this very messy script cursive, and I did end up just grabbing one of my Tombow pens because the head is a little bit thicker, so it made it easier to give it this sketchy look. And then I just kept drawing in the roses with my pen. Like I always do, I will be leaving all my supplies linked down below just in case you miss anything, or if you wanted to check it out for yourself, check my description bar. I do try and leave links to everything. And here I was just drawing in some of the spiky leaves and then the branches that are going to be going down to the ground. I did want this cover page to be Red Queen inspired, so her red rose thorn bushes and then all of the different like diamond, spade, club, and heart signs for the decks of cards that are supposed to be her soldiers are what's making up my calendar for the month, where I'm going to be just tracking my audio and physical books read, or if I did read anything on that day of the month. So after erasing all of my sketchy lines, I'm just going in with some Tombow brush pens. I just kind of went with whatever worked in my collection, so I wanted just a nice dark green for the leaves, and you'll be seeing a nice blood red for the roses. And I did just want it to be very messy. I didn't really want to be coloring inside the lines or for it to even look very defined. I just thought it would look better, a little bit messier, a little bit more confused, surreal. And for the roses, I tried to make it look like they were painted, so I didn't want them to be fully red. I wanted some pieces of white to be left where petals got missed. And I did my best to make it look like paint was dripping off of them, but I don't think I did that good. And now I'm actually just drawing 4 more roses to be the key for my calendar for the month, for audio, physical, both, and none. And I just drew a little can of red paint and a red paintbrush to kind of signify a little bit better what it is. And then I just wrote the iconic quote, "We're all mad here," which the Cheshire Cat said to Alice. I love that quote. And I didn't do my spread on the left side yet. Wait until the end because it was just going to be so drawing heavy that I didn't want to do it right away. So here we're just jumping right on into my books read spread, and I kind of got a little bit different with this one. I just didn't want to limit myself to having the same graph that I always have. I still like that format, but I want to be able to write in reviews next to books if I feel like it. And I also don't want to feel too bad when I don't completely fill out the full graph that I make for the books read. So you'll see how that looks in a moment, but here I'm actually just messily sketching in a tea party inspired scene because I did want this to be like the Mad Hatter's tea party. So I just have plates and pots and sugar pots and tea pots and teacups all layered on top of each other messily in different shades of pastel. I really wanted this to just be very sketched out, not very finished. So for the font for this one, I did go for more cursive-y, again, very scratchy look, and just wrote out books read. At first, I actually really didn't like how this looked because I don't know, I didn't think that it had turned out like I liked it in my head, but looking back on it now, I actually love how this script turned out, and I kind of wish I'd used it more throughout my journal, but oh well. And here I'm just taking a black felt-tipped pen and writing out my title, author, date started, date finished, and star rating for the books, and just a first bullet point for the first book. And then I wrote, why is a raven like a writing desk? I haven't the slightest idea, which is obviously what the Mad Hatter asks Alice and his own response to it. And yeah, that was it for that spread. Very, very simple. And here we move on to a kind of fun page for me to do. I wanted one of the pages to have that tree with the different signs pointing every which way that like Tweedledee and Tweedledum appear under in the movie. And I wanted to be able to have a tree that had like pink hints in it and just look a little bit out of the ordinary. But I didn't really know how to fit it in with my spreads for this month since I wasn't being very particular about everything that I was putting in it. But I did finally decide to make it like this and to make it my hauled books area. Trust me, I do not plan to haul this many books, but I really wanted this cool tree and there was nothing else that I had to put in my spread except for my hauled books. So I kind of wish it had turned out lighter, but I'm still pretty pleased with the colors. And here I'm actually bringing out my iPad and using Procreate to do some outlining for my Bratz Read-a-thon spread that I'm doing. I really wanted the Bratz logo to be perfect, so I didn't want to just freehand it myself. That's why I took it into Procreate. And if you'd noticed, right before this I had a different picture up of the girls, and I did actually also outline that so that I can print it out and color it in for my read-a-thon spread. And here we see me notice that I had done everything on the same layer, which if you use Procreate, you know what a drag that can be. So I made a new layer and I re-outlined everything, and I didn't force you to watch it, don't worry. So yeah, it was just a simple outline. I just, again, wanted it to look very clean, and I wanted to use my foam memo printer to print it out, obviously. So this is the Bratz Read-a-thon. I don't know if my TBR is already up or if it's coming up, but look out for that. I'm so excited about this. It seems like it's going to be such a good time. I'm going to be Team Yasmin, which you'll see a little bit more in a moment. And those are the two outlines that I was going to be printing out. The outline of the girls, though, I was just using my printer to print out. I really need to get a color printer because, dang, that would make my life so much easier. So if you have any good color printer recommendations, leave them down below. But for now, I just used my foam memo printer for the title, and I just cut it out using scissors, as you do. After sticking it in place, I decided to actually color it in using my Posca paint markers, and this is because the foam memo printer paper is kind of glossy, so it wouldn't hold markers as easily, but the paint markers can really be used on any surface, and I really like how it turned out, actually. I need to get more colors in those paint markers. And then I just wrote out read-a-thon, kind of messily, but eh. And then I did print out the outline twice because I was trying to decide what size I wanted everything. Obviously the smaller one worked better for me, and I just kind of, once again, cut out their outline and then tried to decide where they'd go. But before doing that, I used my lifeprint printer, which is like a photograph printer that prints out stickers. And I just printed out a picture of Yasmin using the app, and I love how it turned out. I just love that little printer. It's so handy, and yeah. Just got her right up in that corner so that we remember who we're doing this for. And then I just wrote out the challenges. So there are 5 different challenges, which are Pretty Princess, Read a Book with a Crown on the Cover, Latinx, Read an Own Voices Latinx book, Hopeless Romantic, Read a Book with Romance, Animal Rescue, Read a Book with an Animal on the Cover, and Nebra and Roxy read the group book Henna Wars. And that's when I realized that I didn't have space for my outline. So I kind of colored in this area, tried to make it look like I'd done it on purpose. And then I just stuck in my picture of the girls, and I had to cut their feet off a little bit so they fit better. And I just used my Tombow glue tape to glue them in. I really love using that instead of just regular tape. And here I just used some Tombows to color them in. This was kind of difficult because I don't have enough skin tone color Tombows, but I think it turned out pretty good in the end. I feel like Sasha's skin tone turned out the best, like I got the highlights in the best. Yasmin's turned out a little bit too dark for what I was attempting, but then I feel like I didn't have enough colors for Jade's skin tone since she's supposed to be so pale. So, I mean, it was just supposed to be like a rough impression of them, and I think that turned out pretty well. But again, a color printer would probably be better. And then I had to fit in Nebra and Roxy's challenge over there on the side, but still looks pretty good. And this would have been my last page, so I flipped back to the beginning so we could actually do my art on the cover for September, and I actually used my foam memo printer to print out the Cheshire Cat in a very faint line because I wanted him to look perfect as well, and his features are so specific. And I just colored him in using the Posca paint markers again, and I had kind of cut out his outline so that he was floating there. I wanted it to look like he was disappearing and you could only see his stripes. I think he turned out pretty good for not having the right colors overall. This page honestly turned out a lot messier than I'd been planning. I wanted it to just have iconic pieces from the novel and the movies, and then just some iconic quotes that I didn't get to fit in other places. So obviously we have the White Rabbit who's saying I'm late for a very important date. We have the Cheshire Cat, we have the Mad Hatter's hat, we have the drink me and eat me potions that shrink and enlarge Alice, and then we have the stopwatch kind of losing time. So I do like the idea that I went into it with, but I feel like I didn't give it enough time and I could have added more to it and just tried a little bit harder, because instead it ended up looking pretty messy in my opinion. So it's a bummer, but I don't hate it. And here, this is where I think it got really messy, because I just wrote out, if I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense, and I wanted it to look very loopy and confused, but I just think maybe it looked a little too loopy and confused. And then I wrote curiouser and curiouser, I don't think, then you shouldn't talk, I know who I was when I got up this morning, but I think I must have changed several times since then. How long is forever? Sometimes just 1 second. My reality is just different from yours. I'm afraid I can't explain myself because I am not myself, you see? It's no use going back to yesterday because I was a different person then. And then I used like pastel shades of everything that I wrote to color in the background. And I think this helps it look not as messy, but it still just looks so messy. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I just don't think I love it. And finally, the last spread, which is just my monthly favorite book, and I wanted it to be with Absalom, the blue caterpillar, and he's just on his little mushroom, and here we see my Posca paint marker just drop a ton of ink, and it made it a lot harder to make this actually look clean. And Absalom was already so hard for me to figure out how to draw. And we have his hookah in the background and all the blue smoke. I wish I'd taken a little bit more time again on these last 2 spreads, because I think that rushing them made them look just a little too messy for me. And my camera did stop recording, so sorry about that. But here's kind of the finished product. And then I messily wrote out, "Who are you?" which is what Absalom asks Alice, and then I just wrote out monthly fave in the same font, and I left a little space for the picture that I'll print out. And I've been trying to like deepen up the shades around Absalom, but the paint just keeps soaking it right up no matter how long I let it dry. And that was kind of it for this month. But before we get into the final glam shots, let's actually talk about today's sponsor, which is Skillshare. Skillshare is a wonderful online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes designed to help deepen and explore things you're passionate about. Plus, their classes are designed for real life and can keep you inspired for whatever may come your way, with a supportive community and real projects to participate in. And these classes can really set you up to achieve real growth with topics ranging from fine art, videography, photography, lifestyle, illustration. One of the new classes that I've really been interested in is iPad Illustration Line Drawing Essentials for Fun, Flexible Art by Robert Jenneret III. It's also called Create a Coloring Page by Robert Jenneret III, so it's under both titles. But this is where he teaches how to take your art from a physical to a digital format and some of the basics involved in making beautiful line art and making your own coloring page. It's really, really cool. I highly recommend it. He's very knowledgeable. And since Skillshare is created specifically for learning, you never see ads on their videos, and you can constantly be sure to get new videos added to the website that you might be interested in. An annual subscription is less than $10 a month, but for a limited time, if you guys actually click the link in my description, you can get 2 months of their premium membership for free. So if Skillshare sounds like something you would be interested in, I would highly, highly recommend checking them out. It's a great opportunity. So thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Let's get into the flip through. And that's going to be it for this video today, guys. I hope you liked this style of bullet journal. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye!